9 Habits that Make You Happier Every Day. Part 1. The Beginning of the Journey. Hook. What if I told you that happiness isn't something you find? It's something you build. Every single day, with small habits that almost nobody notices. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's greatest Stoic philosophers, ruled an empire. Yet despite all his wealth and power, he still struggled with fear, stress, disappointment, and loss. His greatest victory wasn't over his enemies, it was over his own mind. Today, you'll discover 9 simple Stoic habits that can transform your life. Make sure you stay until habit number 9 because it ties everything together and may completely change the way you see happiness. But first, let me tell you a story. The story of Daniel. Daniel woke up every morning feeling exhausted. His alarm rang at 6 a.m., but he never felt excited to begin the day. He rushed to work, complained about traffic, worried about money, and spent every evening scrolling through social media, comparing his life to everyone else's. He believed happiness would come someday. When I earn more money. When I buy a new car. When people finally appreciate me. But that day never came. One evening, after another stressful day, Daniel walked into a small bookstore to escape the rain. An elderly man noticed the sadness on his face. "You look like someone searching for something," the old man said. Daniel smiled politely. "I'm searching for happiness." The old man laughed softly. "Then you've been searching in the wrong place." Confused, Daniel asked, "What do you mean?" The old man picked up a worn-out book by Marcus Aurelius. This emperor had everything most people dream about. Yet he learned that happiness doesn't depend on what happens outside of you. It depends on what happens inside. Daniel was curious. The old man continued, "If you practice just a few habits every day, your life can completely change." That conversation became the turning point of Daniel's life. Habit 1. Begin every morning with gratitude. Instead of reaching for his phone every morning, Daniel began writing down 3 things he was grateful for. His family. His health. Another chance to improve. At first, it felt strange. But after a few weeks, he noticed something incredible. The problems hadn't disappeared. His job hadn't changed. His bank account looked the same. But his attitude had changed. The Stoics believed that gratitude trains your mind to see abundance instead of lack. Every morning, ask yourself, what do I already have that many people wish they had? That single question can completely change your perspective. Habit 2. Focus only on what you can control. Daniel used to worry about everything. Other people's opinions. The economy. The weather. His boss. The future. Then he discovered one of Stoicism's greatest lessons. You cannot control everything. You can only control your thoughts, your choices, and your actions. The moment Daniel stopped wasting energy on things outside his control, his stress began to disappear. Peace entered his life, not because life became easier, but because his mind became stronger. Mid-video engagement. If you're enjoying this story and want to become mentally stronger every day, take a second to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Every week, we share powerful Stoic wisdom to help you master your mind, build discipline, and live with purpose. Now, let's continue Daniel's transformation. End of part 1. I can also write part 2, around 3,000 words, where Daniel learns habits 3 to 5 through deeper stories and practical Stoic lessons. 9 Habits that Make You Happier Every Day. Part 2, The Turning Point. Opening. Daniel sat quietly on a wooden bench as the sun began to rise. The old man handed him another page from Marcus Aurelius' Meditations. "Read this," he said. Daniel read aloud. "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." He paused. "So, my thoughts have been creating my unhappiness?" The old man nodded. "Exactly. Most people spend their lives trying to change the world, but they never learn to change themselves." Daniel looked across the peaceful lake. "I want to change." The old man smiled. "Then your real journey begins today. Habit 3. Master your thoughts." The following morning, Daniel noticed something strange. His alarm rang. Immediately his mind whispered, "This is going to be another terrible day." Normally, he believed that voice. But today he remembered the old man's lesson. You don't have to believe every thought. Instead of accepting the negative thought, Daniel asked himself, "Is this actually true?" The answer surprised him. No. Nothing bad had happened yet. His mind was simply repeating old habits. Throughout the day, Daniel caught himself complaining. The traffic. His difficult customers. His unfinished work. Every complaint was simply another thought. For the first time, he realized he had a choice. Instead of saying, "My day is ruined," he replaced it with, "This is an opportunity to practice patience." Instead of saying, "My boss doesn't appreciate me," he thought, "I can still do excellent work because excellence is my responsibility." Week after week, his thinking became calmer. His friends noticed. "What happened to you? You seem different." Daniel smiled. "I stopped believing every thought that entered my mind." The Stoics believe that our minds are like gardens. If we allow weeds to grow, they eventually take over. But if we carefully plant wisdom, courage, gratitude, and discipline, those qualities become our character. Ask yourself today, what thoughts are you feeding every single day? Habit 4. Stop comparing yourself to others. A few days later, Daniel opened social media. Vacation pictures. Luxury cars. Expensive watches. Perfect relationships. Within minutes, he felt miserable. The old man happened to call him. "What are you doing?" "I'm looking at everyone's amazing life." The old man laughed gently. "No. You're looking at everyone's highlights." Daniel became silent. "Comparison," the old man continued, "is one of the fastest ways to destroy happiness. Marcus Aurelius never tried to become Julius Caesar. Epictetus never wished he were Seneca. Each man focused on becoming the best version of himself." That night, Daniel deleted several apps from his phone. Instead of spending 2 hours comparing himself to strangers, he spent those 2 hours reading, exercising, learning new skills, speaking with his family. Something incredible happened. His confidence slowly returned. He realized that comparison steals two priceless things: your peace and your purpose. Remember this. Someone will always have more money. Someone will always look better. Someone will always be more successful. But nobody can become the unique person you were created to become. Run your own race. Daniel faces his biggest challenge. Months passed. Daniel was happier, more disciplined, calmer. Then life tested him. One Friday afternoon, his company announced major layoffs. Daniel lost his job. Fear returned immediately. Bills, rent, family responsibilities. Everything rushed into his mind. For a moment, he wanted to panic. Then he remembered habit number 2. Control what you can. He couldn't control losing the job, but he could control his response. Instead of spending weeks complaining, he updated his resume, learned new skills, contacted old friends, applied for better opportunities every single day. While many former coworkers became trapped in bitterness, Daniel kept moving forward. 3 months later, he received an offer from a company that paid even better than his previous job. As he walked into his new office, he whispered, "Every setback carries the seed of a better opportunity." Habit 5. Practice daily self-discipline. The old man invited Daniel to meet him before sunrise. When Daniel arrived, the old man was already exercising. "You're early," Daniel said. The old man smiled. "Successful people do what they should do, even when they don't feel like it." Discipline. That was the next lesson. Daniel created a simple routine. Wake up early. Exercise. Read 10 pages. Write in his journal. Avoid unnecessary distractions. Sleep on time. The first week was difficult. His bed felt comfortable. His phone constantly distracted him. His motivation disappeared. But discipline stayed. The Stoics never depended on motivation. They depended on character. Every morning Daniel reminded himself, "My feelings don't decide my future. My habits do." Weeks became months. Months became a year. The man who once wasted hours complaining had become someone people admired. Not because he was lucky, but because he became disciplined. A powerful lesson. One evening Daniel asked the old man, "When does life finally become easy?" The old man smiled warmly. "It doesn't." Daniel looked confused. "But you become stronger. Storms never stop coming. You simply become the kind of person who can walk through them without fear." Daniel finally understood. Happiness isn't the absence of problems. It is the presence of inner strength. Closing. As Daniel walked home beneath the evening sky, he realized that every habit he had practiced was changing not just his days, but his identity. He was no longer waiting for happiness to arrive someday. He was creating it, one decision at a time. But his greatest lesson was still ahead. In Part 3, Daniel discovers the final 4 habits that transform his life completely, including the powerful Stoic secret of living fully in the present, serving others, embracing challenges, and finding lasting inner peace. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Your support helps us share timeless Stoic wisdom with people around the world. 9 habits that make you happier every day. Part 3, the final transformation. Opening. The seasons changed. Almost a year had passed since Daniel first met the old man in the bookstore. The anxious, frustrated man who had wandered in from the rain was almost unrecognizable. He smiled more. He complained less. He walked with confidence instead of fear. Yet one question still lingered in his heart. Why do I still have difficult days? One quiet evening, Daniel found the old man sitting beneath a large oak tree. The wind gently moved through the branches as the sun dipped below the horizon. Daniel sat beside him. "I've practiced gratitude. I've learned discipline. I've stopped comparing myself to others. I've controlled my thoughts. My life is better, but I still struggle." The old man smiled. "That is because your journey is not finished. There are 4 more habits. They are the habits that separate ordinary people from those who live with true peace." Daniel leaned forward. "I'm ready." The old man nodded. "Then listen carefully. Habit 6. Live fully in the present moment." The next morning Daniel noticed something. He spent almost every moment thinking about yesterday. Or worrying about tomorrow. Even while eating breakfast. He worried about work. While working. He worried about the weekend. While resting. He worried about unfinished tasks. His body was always in one place. But his mind was somewhere else. That evening the old man gave Daniel a small wooden cup. "What do you see?" "A cup." "No. I see an opportunity." He poured fresh tea into the cup. "Drink." Daniel slowly lifted it. The warm tea filled his mouth. For the first time in weeks, he noticed the taste. The warmth. The silence. The breeze. The birds singing nearby. The old man smiled. "You see? For 5 minutes you weren't trapped by the past or the future. You were alive." The Stoics believe the present moment is the only place where life actually happens. Yesterday cannot be changed. Tomorrow has not yet arrived. Today, this moment, is your greatest gift. From that day forward Daniel practiced being fully present. When speaking with family, he truly listened. When eating, he enjoyed every bite. When working, he focused on one task. Slowly his anxiety faded. Not because life became easier, but because he stopped carrying imaginary burdens. Habit 7. Help other people without expecting anything back. Months later Daniel noticed something surprising. Although he had become happier, he still felt something missing. One afternoon he saw an elderly woman struggling to carry heavy grocery bags. Most people walked past, Daniel stopped. May I help you? She smiled with gratitude. The walk lasted only 10 minutes. But her joy stayed with him the entire day. That evening the old man asked, How do you feel? Daniel smiled. Happier. The old man nodded. Because happiness grows when it is shared. From then on, Daniel looked for opportunities to serve. He encouraged co-workers. He visited lonely neighbors. He volunteered on weekends. He mentored young students. He expected nothing in return. One day a young boy asked him, Why do you help people you've never met? Daniel smiled. Because someone once helped me. The Stoics believed kindness is one of the highest forms of strength. True greatness isn't measured by how many people serve you. It is measured by how many people you serve. A storm arrives. Just when life seemed peaceful, another challenge appeared. Daniel's father became seriously ill. Doctors weren't sure he would recover. Daniel sat beside the hospital bed every day. Fear returned. He wanted to cry. He wanted to ask, Why is this happening? Instead, he remembered another Stoic lesson. Life owes us nothing. Every moment is a gift. Rather than complaining, he treasured every conversation with his father. Every smile became precious. Every minute mattered. One evening his father whispered, I'm proud of the man you've become. Tears filled Daniel's eyes. Those words became one of the greatest treasures of his life. Sometimes suffering teaches lessons that comfort never could. Habit 8. Embrace difficulties. Weeks later Daniel returned to the old man. I hate pain. The old man laughed softly. So does everyone. But pain is one of life's greatest teachers. He pointed toward a mountain in the distance. Do you see that mountain? Yes. Strong trees grow where the wind is strongest. So do strong people. Without challenges, there is no courage. Without hardship, there is no patience. Without failure, there is no wisdom. Daniel began looking at every obstacle differently. Traffic became patience training. Failure became education. Criticism became an opportunity to improve. Rejection became redirection. His entire mindset changed. He no longer asked, Why is this happening to me? Instead he asked, What is this teaching me? That single question transformed everything. Habit 9. Remember that life is short. One evening the old man invited Daniel back to 9 Habits That Make You Happier Every Day. Part 4. The Legacy of a Stoic. Opening. The old bookstore felt empty. Daniel stood quietly, holding the letter the old man had left behind. The shelves were still filled with books, but the gentle voice that had once guided him was gone. For several minutes he didn't move. Then he whispered to himself, The greatest teachers never truly leave us. They live on through the lessons they give. He folded the letter carefully and placed it inside his journal. At that moment, Daniel made a promise. Everything I have learned, I will pass on to someone else. Little did he know that life was about to test him once again. A new beginning. Several months later, Daniel had become one of the most respected employees in his company. People admired him. Not because he was the smartest. Not because he earned the most money. But because he remained calm when everyone else was anxious. Whenever problems appeared, people naturally turned to him. One Monday morning, a young employee named Michael walked into Daniel's office. His face looked tired. His shoulders were slumped. He reminded Daniel of himself years earlier. Michael spoke softly. I don't think I can do this anymore. Daniel looked up. What happened? My life feels like it's falling apart. My boss is unhappy. My family doesn't understand me. I'm always stressed. No matter how hard I work, nothing seems enough. Daniel smiled gently. I know exactly how you feel. Michael looked surprised. You do? Daniel nodded. I used to wake up every morning feeling exactly the same. Michael stared at him. But you're always happy. Daniel laughed. I wasn't born this way. I learned. Lesson 1. Stop fighting reality. After work, Daniel invited Michael to a nearby park. They sat beneath the same kind of oak tree where Daniel had once learned from the old man. Daniel picked up a leaf. What happens if I spend all day wishing this leaf were blue instead of green? Michael shrugged. You'd waste your time. Exactly. Daniel smiled. Yet that's exactly what we do with life. We wish difficult people were different. We wish yesterday hadn't happened. We wish problems didn't exist. But reality doesn't change because we complain. Michael sat quietly. Daniel continued. The Stoics taught us something powerful. Accept reality first, then improve what you can. That evening Michael went home with a completely different mindset. Instead of saying, "Why is my life like this?" he asked, "What can I do today?" One question changed everything. Lesson 2. Small improvements create great lives. The next morning Daniel handed Michael a notebook. Inside the first page were only 3 words. 1% better. Michael looked confused. Daniel explained. Most people fail because they try to change everything overnight. They become excited. They make impossible goals. Then they quit. But imagine improving just 1% every day. Read 5 pages. Walk 20 minutes. Speak kindly. Save a little money. Learn 1 new lesson. It doesn't seem like much. But after 1 year, you become a completely different person. Michael smiled. I can do 1%. Exactly. Great lives are built one small habit at a time. The unexpected challenge. 3 months later, the company experienced another crisis. Several important projects failed. Customers complained. Employees panicked. Rumors spread through the office. Michael rushed into Daniel's office. What are we going to do? Daniel calmly stood up. We're going to do what Stoics always do. Michael waited. Daniel smiled. We'll focus on today's work, not tomorrow's fears. The 2 men worked late into the night, while others wasted energy blaming each other. Daniel and Michael quietly solved problems. Week after week, the company slowly recovered. Their manager called them into his office. I've never seen people remain this calm under pressure. Daniel smiled. We simply focused on what we could control. Lesson 3. Your character is your greatest wealth. One Saturday afternoon Daniel visited the old bookstore. Although it was now owned by another family, one corner remained exactly the same. The old chair. The wooden desk. The small hourglass. Daniel smiled. A young girl browsing books noticed him. Were you friends with the old owner? Daniel nodded. He taught me everything. She asked. What was the greatest lesson? Daniel looked toward the window. He taught me that your greatest possession isn't money. It isn't fame. It isn't success. It's your character. No one can steal honesty. No one can steal courage. No one can steal kindness. No one can steal wisdom. But you must choose them every day. The young girl quietly wrote those words in her notebook. Daniel smiled. Another life had been touched. The ripple effect. Years passed. Michael became a leader. The young girl became a teacher. Each person began sharing the same timeless lessons with others. Without realizing it, the wisdom of one old man continued spreading from person to person, like ripples across a peaceful lake. Daniel finally understood something beautiful. Real success isn't measured by how many people know your name. It's measured by how many lives become better because you lived. The final walk. One quiet evening, Daniel returned to the bench where his journey had begun. The sun slowly disappeared behind the hills. Birds flew across the golden sky. He closed his eyes and remembered every lesson. Gratitude. Self-control. Discipline. Presence. Kindness. Courage. Acceptance. Purpose. Character. He whispered softly. Thank you? Not just to the old man, but to life itself. Because every challenge had become a teacher. Every failure had become a lesson. Every painful moment had shaped the man he had become. Daniel smiled. For the first time in many years, he realized he was no longer searching for happiness. He had become the kind of person who carried happiness wherever he went. Closing message. And now, the story belongs to you. Every morning gives you a choice. You can continue living as you always have, or you can begin practicing the habits that build a peaceful, resilient, and meaningful life. The path isn't easy, but every small step matters. If this story inspired you, leave a comment sharing which habit you're going to practice first. Your words might encourage someone else to begin their own journey. And if you enjoyed this series, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future stories about stoicism, self-discipline, and mastering your mind. Remember, you don't become happier by chasing a different life. You become happier by becoming a different person.